for sharing that. So we're going to transition into talking about the longevity or investing in ourselves for a greater outcome in the future. And so where this kind of comes about as a professional counselor. Now, let me be very transparent. I'm very aware that there is, not transparent, more candid. I'm very aware that there are systems at play, that there has been structures in our society to oppress individuals. Very aware of that. That is not a mystery. If you are offended hearing that, please rewind this recording and review the last segment where it talked about inner work, and you taking things personally. These things exist. Now, if it makes you uncomfortable, that is one thing, but that doesn't mean something doesn't exist just because you're uncomfortable with it. And that hasn't been your truth. So we have a choice that we need to invest, right? That inner work. Sometimes that inner work costs. Like, while it's great, it's amazing, it's needed, no one owes that to you. And so it's like you have to do the work and find the means to say, I need to make this possible for myself. So oftentimes I'm having individuals that's coming to me with their decades of experience, right? I've had highs, I've had lows, I've had good, I had bad, I have trauma, I have, joys, I have all these things. And I'm coming and I'm saying, hey, I'm ready to do some work because how I've been operating no longer serves me in this area of my life anymore. Cool, let's go. Let's do it. And it's like, but can I get that discount? Wait. Like, huh? And I understand, hey, this isn't convenient for me, or this isn't financially best for my situation right now, right? So there's other things that we can do, but it's almost but you're supposed to be helping, right? It's almost that like, well, you're supposed to be a good person and give me the discount. So let me go spend my money where I want to spend it and everything else outside of an internal investment of myself. So you give me the discount. And I'm not shaming anybody for that. I know where a lot of that comes from with the demographics that I work with. So I get that. So I always try to frame it as an investment. Like, you are investing in yourself. And sometimes when you invest, you don't see the immediate result, but you are going to get a return on it. For sure. You're going to get a return on it. And so kind of connecting that, I know that was a long spiel to get to what I'm really wanting to kind of probe for you is I can only imagine it's the same. People not wanting to pay for resumes or actually pay for the service of a career coach. Because one thing they also forget is that we pay to be skilled. Yeah. And so, right, like, we didn't just wake up and said, oh, I'm this, so I can do it. Like, no, we had to invest in our knowledge and our skills and our talents and our experiences and our years. We had to have an investment to say, hey, I'm competent to handle this, to support you in handling this and instill something in you so you can go off. But it's almost like, yeah, but give me that discount. Like, you charge that much, and it's, huh? like I don't have a life too. So, can you speak to me about just the work that you do, whether it's the resume, you mentioned tailoring resumes, or the career coaching, that being the investment and not, well, I want to get to the bag, but I don't want to pay to get to the bag. I want a discount. So, but when I get to the bag, I got a bigger come up, like, can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Sure. So I think what you're talking about, probably most people who've worked independently or as small business owners have dealt with, especially when it comes to even their own family and friends. Kind of having to learn to value your worth, because people around you, they just don't see it as that. They see it as, this is a service and I know you, and this is how much I value that service. And if you value our relationship, then, it's kind of like, well, let's take the value of what I have to pay you. It's a lot. So when I think about that, I think about kind of two things. So one, it being a little bit of a mindset shift overall when it comes to investing in resumes, when it comes to investing in professional documents. I'm the DIY queen. Like, I would want to do things by myself and not spend the money all day if I have to. But as the world changes, I feel like I've had to adjust. Like, I learned when I was young how to change a tire. I'll probably never do that. I'm just going to call AAA. I used to file my own taxes with, online services. As a business owner, I don't do that. I need a CPA. Like, because I know these people have invested in their education. They know way more than I do. And likely in the long run, they're going to be able to save me money, save me time. So us being able to recognize when we have to make that shift. But no one can do it for you. I'm lucky in that I contract with a lot of businesses, so I don't have to, like, the people I work with independently, they come to me. I only deal with referrals, really. And just like you, I do that first assessment. I see if we're a good fit. If we're not, I can recommend you to somebody who is. I can send you to a business where maybe they have cheaper prices, and really find a good fit for what you need at the time, but not really shifting anymore in what value I bring and attaching that to what I charge. And I also, and I know you do too, provide pro bono work, provide tips. If you want to ask me a question, you send me an email. I'm happy to give free tips and advice, do calls like this where I can share a lot of what I would tell a client. I even give discounts for people who have just recently been laid off. So there are lots of ways that we support people who just can't. But if you can, it's an investment. It really shows that you not only value yourself, but you value that the services and the education and the experience that someone else is bringing you. So I think that's important. The second part, though, is that the industry has changed. When I first got into resume writing, this was right out of college, my audience was mainly people who could afford it, or for some business, it would be those cheaper services where they probably didn't have a friend or a family member or someone who could do it for them. And it was a very different audience than it is now, with the growth of LinkedIn, with the growth of online applications where you're not bringing something to a business and presenting them your actual written resume with maybe 30 other candidates. You're sending out an application online. There are thousands of other candidates. The competition, the playing field is completely different. And then recently, with the growth of AI, companies are using applicant tracking systems that your resume has to be tailored to be scanned by that. And as resume writers, as career coaches, the more that changes, the more we're continually being educated on those changes, whereas the public just is not. So there's so many different factors nowadays where you can definitely try and do the research yourself. You're going to get lots of conflicting information. Lots of clients come to me, they're like, well, I heard this and I heard that. That's going to continue to happen because the industry is consistently changing. So give yourself grace in that. And again, usually most coaches, writers will give you a discovery call. Hopefully they will answer your emails, they'll answer your hits on LinkedIn and answer those questions for you. But there's nothing that can replace people who work at this 8+ hours a day to get the professional development and who can guide you in that. If it's possible for you. We understand that it's not for everyone. There are always other services and other methods to get that support if it's not.
There were two things. One thing personally that stuck out to me was when you, like, unapologetically was saying, I know my value, and that value is matched in the price of the service. And as a business owner, which is so weird to say out loud because, baby, when I say building a plane as we fly it, and not in the way of, like, Spirit Airlines, like bring your own, like not like that. And no shade to Spirit, that's just like culturally, that's like the ongoing.
We all know what you mean.
Okay. I've never been on Spirit. I don't know if you have to bring your own seat.
I actually have, but you guys know. Long time ago, before I got this reputation.
See, it's the reputation. So I do not, please do not come for me. I'm probably gonna X that out. But and I say build a plane as you fly it because I am first gen in a lot of things. And I am first gen, like when it comes to my healing, thinking the way I do and sitting with the discomforts I'm sitting with, and even starting a business. There was no one in my immediate family or circle of friends that I'm like, hey, you have a business, walk me through it. So that's what I mean by building the plane as I fly it. And so when it comes to the passion, and then knowing that I possess knowledge and skill set that is not common, it's like, oh, okay. And I'm also have a decade of experience in being an educator. So I am used in an educator in Title I schools. So that's also where you're seeing the demographics of like, oh, these systems that are in play. But then you come to this price and it's like, yeah, I do have to literally return on my investment. Like I had to invest in this. I have to have shelter. I have to, and it's not even about even where my prices are as an LPC associate. I'm not allowed to take insurance. And being transparent, I probably won't take insurance when I can, just because there's so much that goes into what is required for insurance to be accepted. And I don't want to add extra labels and markings on the demographic that I work with just to get money that I've already earned. But I digress. It's also that, just feeling conflicted. So when you shared that about yourself of like, I have these years of experience. I know I know what I've invested. This is my price. I can find you someone else who may be a better suit. Like even I'm taking something from that as a business owner that is compassionate, passion plus action. Like, oh, I can do something. But like you said, I do offer pro bono, or if there is a service or like, right, if there's more information and things like that, I offer sliding scale. But it's almost like, I want you to get it, so you're not attacking your career coach in this interview where you need a job where you most likely are going to attack the people at your job, right? It's like, let me help you, but it's also like, oh, so I'm balancing that right now. So I just want to share that you planted a seed in me, and for something for me to kind of reflect on, have some takeaways from this week for my personal self of just kind of reflecting that and embodying that.
But we talked about, like the investment on our end. And I think it's so important to think about the investment on the client's end. When I think about all of the headache and stress that therapy counseling has saved me, I need to probably go back and pay these people 10 times what I was paying at the time. And it's the same with the kind of resume work that I've done. I did so many free resumes when I was first getting started. And, some people who didn't even kind of acknowledge it at the start might come back and say something just in conversation. Oh, that resume helped me get like a $2,000, $5,000 increase in my salary. And it's like, I start to hear these stories over and over again. And it's not just the salary. Sometimes when you just think about that stuck feeling of not having support in your job search, and then having someone to help you just feel like there's progress,
right?
That I'm doing something, that I have some resources, that I feel more confident in what I bring because I've had these conversations with a professional. So both the kind of inner gains that you get, as well as some of the tangible benefits. When I'm going to a counselor, I can be more confident and speak to what I bring. I can do that in an interview. I can get more money. I can get more benefits. So not only is it kind of a mental, spiritual comeuppance, it's also I'm getting more out of life from what I'm putting in. That is often, like I said, 10 times the money that I put in. And like I say, myself, I'd go back if I could and actually just like give people what I feel like they deserve. Because at the time, you don't think about it. You think about the immediate results, when the long-term results you couldn't even fathom.
I appreciate you sharing that as well, especially the work that we do. And I'm saying we, although you're not a mental health professional, you're still helping people with their mental wellness. And people are so right. This is almost like a buzz term in society today, but your mental wellness is holistic. Just like you said, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's so connected to so much. And it's again the investment of, you're going to be better than when you left. You're going to be better than when you left. Now everybody ain't doing what they're supposed to do. They're not doing right by folks.
Do the work.
So, but if you're doing it correctly and you have someone invested, someone aware, someone competent, you're going to leave better than you came. I'm not going to create a situation, or we don't create situations where you're dependent on us. So if you apply for that first job, now come back, give me some more money, and then we'll do this. No, like we're setting you up to like, you good. Like, right. Like you invested in, and I invested in you to where you may not be a customer again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bringing you on to say, okay, I got one. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
got one for life. No, you gonna go and be great.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
why.
need it up front because I know you're gonna
Yeah.
be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I appreciate that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so, was there any last minute mentions? Because we're going to get
Mm-hmm.
into 5 helpful tips from your perspective as, and I don't want to just call you a career coach. So I don't, you're so much. You're an educator, you're a career consultant, you're a career coach,
Mm-hmm.
you're a resume writer. You're also someone who is invested in their own personal mental wellness.
Yeah.
So there's so much that comes with you. And what a lot of people may not know, you actually have a degree in sociology. So even that perspective, which is important, you see this world today. That's
Yeah.
also perspective of the lens you bring. It's
Yeah.
not, you're never just going to approach something as the career. Okay, you got to let off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like you said, when you come to me, I'm very aware that this is going on and that is going on. And
Yeah.
everybody wouldn't be able to have that perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's also important. And I want to put in a space when people are like, okay, she kind of know what she's talking about. Like, right. Like, let me let y'all know she actually know
Yeah.
a little bit more. Having a degree in sociology, not just like a study. I took a class and now I know, like, no, you have a degree in it. So I think that's important too, especially when this world, baby. And I'll just stop there. Just
Just leave it at that. Yeah.
what they
Yeah.
say,
No,
let the
I
dead
appreciate
bury the
that.
dead.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So we're going to get into some helpful tips. And one thing that I didn't mention earlier that I want to put in a space as well before we transition, and it may tie in perfectly because I don't really know what's about to be said. And I think this is kind of what I wanted to get into when I was talking about professional counselors can provide career counseling. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
actually a form of counseling. And so in the work that I do, I use a lot of different, I'm more eclectic in my approach of working with clients. It depends on the client in front of me. But with my demographic of individuals and typically their concerns, I use narrative therapy. And so
Mm-hmm.
narrative therapy is saying, hey, you've been giving other people your pen, and your pen is your worth. And you have
Mm-hmm.
allowed them to have your pen and write your story. So now that you have this awareness, we're going to take your pen back.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take this back, and you know your worth. You know your value. And one form of career counseling is narrative career counseling,
Mm-hmm.
where like you're saying, some people may not have explored their stories, or they're so defensive and you don't really know where it's coming from, but it's a form of career counseling where you're actually looking at your stories and how they've been constructed over time. And is this
Mm-hmm.
what I ascribe to? Is this what represents me now? If not, okay, let's reauthor that story. And I think I wanted to put that in the space of, we keep talking about this inner work, but it can coexist to
Mm-hmm.
where it's not separate of, let me go process being toxic, and then let me present myself one way at this job so I can make sure I still have this salary. Like it doesn't have to exist in two different spaces. They can
Mm-hmm.
exist together. And so I wanted
That's
to,
radical well-being.
okay, so
Into
I was
the
like,
root, everything, pulling up
oh,
all the roots.
dig it up, dig it up. So I wanted to put that into space, yeah, because as we're just talking about this inner work, and again, you're not a paid person, right? I thank you. You're doing this interview for free. The knowledge, the skills, the right people, not even when you mention AI, I'm like, oh my gosh, you people out here, chat GTP, whatever it is, their resumes in the system catch that. Like, bye, you
Yeah,
don't get it.
yeah.
So even that, like, and I want, I'm going off topic, I'm going to come back, but I want people to recognize, the people listening, that this right here is pro bono work,
Mm.
where people are assuming that it's like, no, it needs to be just be about me and you give me my hour. Like, you getting access to this information that other people pay for,
Mm-hmm.
that, look at these things as investments of like
Mm-hmm.
what you're getting. So, but yeah, I just wanted to put the narrative career counseling in perspective, and just saying that it doesn't always have to be two separate entities, and sometimes it needs to be like you
Mm-hmm.
said, your hierarchy of needs.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I wish I would have known you were going to mention that. I would have like had my visuals and talked about like people up here at like trying to be level 3 using a job to feel belonging, and that's not what their job
Exactly.
is for. So
We
that
could
may
have a
be a whole
whole
other segment. I was about to
session
say
on that.
we're gonna come back to that. We gotta have you
Exactly.
back, okay? Because we gotta get
Exactly.
into that. But I do want to transition into some helpful tips that you have for individuals because you've already, y'all don't know, I got a whole sticky note right here. Like you've already been downloading into me and planting seeds
Yeah.
into me that I didn't even know was coming, you know. So yeah, if you can just we can go ahead and
Yeah.
transition into some helpful tips that could be good for the listeners.